To you, upon this inquiry has been centered, resolute in your pursuit of justice, relentless in your belief for life. You have only our highest regard and respect. May your peace of mind be assured. Look into the deepest recesses of your being and discover the seeds of new hope, where the temperate heart might find solace and the blithe spirit might rise again. Let these be the pillars on which the house of self reconciliation can stand. Safe haven of Rehau, dispatcher of sorrow, restorer of the breath of life, purveyor of kindness. Those of you who have faced the ill winds of time and made to suffer at the hands of abusers and the hidden faces of persecutors draw near. You who found courage, cloaked yourself with your truth, who crowned yourself with dignity. A new tomorrow awaits beyond the horizon. Your future beckons. And so, as dawn rises and a new day begins, let clarity and understanding reign. Goodness surrounds you, and justice prevails. Rongo, God of peace, this the heart desires. We beseech you. Let it be. It is done. That was the passage introduction in the abuse care inquiry on page 3, and I thought it was really beautiful, so I wanted to read that out loud. And so let's get right into this story. I am going to jump to the conclusions, and that's going to be on page 56. Let's get straight into it. So I'm going to go straight into page 57, and under 196, I am going to read some of the findings that they have connected in this inquiry to the one that was established in Australia. It says, in total, the Australian CSA Royal Commission received 70 complaints about CSA in the Jehovah's Witness organization. Its relevant findings on abuse allegations were that A, since 1950, there had been allegations, reports, or complaints received with the Jehovah's Witnesses by the Jehovah's Witness organization in Australia relating to at least 1,800 alleged victims of CSA. B, about 11% of the alleged perpetrators were elders or ministerial servants at the time of the first instance of alleged CSA. C, about 3% of the alleged perpetrators were subsequently appointed as elders or ministerial servants after an allegation of CSA was made against them. D, although 40% of the alleged perpetrators were disfellowshipped as a result of an allegation of CSA, about 57% of those disfellowshipped were later reinstated, and 19% of the total who were disfellowshipped more than once as a result of an allegation of CSA. Okay, so I'm just going to stop right there and just give a few thoughts about that. Those are huge numbers, in my opinion. And so, this is why in 2015, when the ARC came out with this is what woke up the majority of us that became XJWs after the year 2015, is because once we figured out that quite literally in every congregation there is a possible SO, that is devastating that they would even allow this person to continue receiving their open invitation to this kingdom hall. You know how they say open to the public? Well, absolutely not. Once you are convicted, especially and you have to register as an SO, you should get your invitation revoked. Regardless of everything that's wrong with the doctrine, this is the number one issue, is the safety of children. It says the organization's policies and practices for responding to CSA were outdated and, by and large, wholly inappropriate and unsuitable in cases of CSA. The fact that the organization continued to apply policies such as the two-witness rule in cases of CSA showed a serious lack of understanding of the nature of that abuse. And that was the ARC in October 2016, case study number 29. So I'm really glad that New Zealand is bringing up what has already been discovered. And so this is the type of information that we want to share, and we want to continue sharing, continue to expose that this has been done in 2015 and 2016. Just a quick mention under this subheading: independent inquiry into CSA, England and Wales. I want to read what they found in this inquiry. It says that the independent inquiry into CSA in England and Wales published an investigation report on child protection in religious organizations and settings, including the Jehovah's Witnesses. Skip down to 202. It says the IICSA found that the Jehovah's Witness organization had the third highest number of sexual abuse victims, 15 or 11%, after the Catholic and Anglican churches. It is further found: A, the two witness rule is not intended to be a safeguarding measure. It is part of an internal religious process for determining whether someone should remain a congregant. Nevertheless, the application of the rule in the context of child sexual abuse is likely to increase the suffering of victims and fails to reflect the reality that by its very nature, CSA is most often perpetrated in the absence of witnesses. This is exactly what this whole community has been fighting for, is that when these things happen, you are not going to have a second witness. And this is how the Jehovah's Witnesses are being really stubborn in their beliefs and very prideful about trying to exercise their freedom of religion and using their faith and their belief system as a disguise. But in reality, when it comes to protecting children, it doesn't really matter. You should understand that not everything is going to fit in the context of one scripture, and that you need to change. Those are the good changes. You need to make changes that are going to be safeguarding rules and policies, not changing literally dressing, grooming, things that actually don't matter. But they want to die on this hill, and I don't know why. So this is why exposure is necessary. Okay, reading on to the second paragraph, B. The Jehovah's Witnesses do not carry out vetting and barring checks on elders, ministerial servants, or those who run the organization regionally or at a national level. This is because they maintain that they do not separate children from their parents during religious worship or practice, or when children are in company of someone in a position of trust, and so checks are not permitted by law. This fails to recognize that the mere presence of parents does not prevent those in position of trust from developing inappropriate relationships with children or being able to groom both their children and their families. That right there is exactly what we are talking about when we say that they are using their position to get cozy and buddy buddy with these families, elders, ministerial servants, anybody who is in a position of power. Those positions of power can only be attained by men. So you are going to have a 100% rating on men being perpetrators in the Jehovah's Witnesses when it comes to positions. Of course, there's going to be women who are perpetrators, but you are not going to see a woman in position of power. So that is what we're trying to say. Like, hey, it's the position of power that allows these people to get really comfortable and groom the children alongside their families, right under their noses. And then when that opportunity arises for them to get alone with the child, that's when these things occur and there are no witnesses. So this is why inquiries from the outside are important, because if Jehovah's Witnesses were to do this internally, it wouldn't work. Jehovah's Witnesses are always going to defend themselves and their policies because they are using freedom of religion so that they can do whatever they want, how they want it, and they don't want to be told what to do. At the same time, though, they want government funding. Okay. So if you want government funding, you have to be willing to give up some of your rights because you want government funding. And if you don't want the government in your business, then don't take government money, Satan's money, and then complain when they're trying to have inquiries on you. That's why they lost their funding in Norway over the shunning policy, because Norway actually identifies that as psychological and emotional and mental abuse. Now, when it comes to CSA issues, this is something concrete that we can look back on. They have the receipts, they just don't want to turn it over. Okay, they have all the information there in headquarters. They know how many perpetrators are in each congregation. They know their names, they know where they live, they know every little detail about them. But the rest of the congregation doesn't. Last paragraph under the letter C. The Jehovah's Witness Child Protection Policy, consisting of 4 core documents, are rooted in religious text and written in scriptural language. 2 of these documents fail to provide practical guidance, including on how to contact statutory authorities. If you want to go ahead and read the other findings, you can definitely click on that link in the description and read it for yourself. Got to give a warning out there. It does go into details and it can make us uncomfortable, but this is what somebody had to live through. They had to go through this and they were brave enough to come forward, and we thank them for that. If it wasn't for the ex Jehovah's Witnesses that have come forward with their abuse, we would not be talking about these cases or these inquiries right now. So please go ahead and educate yourself on how the Jehovah's Witnesses have kept this hidden. They've done everything in their power to try to keep this inquiry from seeing the light of day. And so I am also going to share a news clip giving us exactly what the Jehovah's Witnesses were trying to do prior to this inquiry coming out.
Inquiry. A much anticipated report covering abuse in state and faith-based institutional care is due out tomorrow afternoon. Kushla Norman joins us live now. Kia ora, Kushla. What else did the ruling say?
Simon, well, the Jehovah Witnesses, they have ongoing legal action to try and get excluded from the inquiry. Now, that decision, that still sits with the Supreme Court and is yet to be decided. But in the meantime, the religious group has sought to get the publication of part of tomorrow's report concerning it suppressed. Now, the Court of Appeal has said no, this cannot happen because of considerable public interest. The court has also said Jehovah's Witnesses, they were too slow with their application. It was only filed last Friday when they knew that this was coming in June and should have filed something earlier. Now, just a few minutes ago, I received a response from the Jehovah's Witnesses. They say that they have serious concerns about the accuracy of tomorrow's report regarding the group, and so it had no other choice but to resort to legal action.
Tēnā koe, Kushla. Thank you.
So as you see in that clip, they tried to do everything in their power so that this information doesn't come out. They were denied the request to not have that information published because of the public interest. You see, this is the power of we the people all over the world. This is the power of you in your country, in your district, in your city, in your county, wherever you are. This is the importance of exposure, of protesting, showing that the public demands that the Jehovah's Witnesses take accountability for all of these abuses. And so this is the whole point of the ARC, the England and Wales inquiry, the IICSA, and now the New Zealand inquiry. Another website that has been shared on Twitter, Abuse and Care, Royal Commission of Inquiry, and here are the recommendations. Okay. Recommendation number 1, implement the new system and scheme as an immediate priority. That's a good one. So it says, as an immediate priority, the government and faith-based institutions should implement the 95 recommendations in the inquiry's interim report on redress. Okay. Together with the recommendations of the design group, subject to any further recommendations made in this report. Recommendations 2 through 4. Key leaders to make public acknowledgments and apologies. Okay, I kind of like this one better. And so when you see under the subheading recommendation 3, it says that public acknowledgments and apologies for historical abuse and neglect in the care of the state, both direct and indirectly provided care, and faith-based institutions should be made to survivors. And so under A, all the way at the bottom, we see here it says the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses should make a public apology and acknowledgement for the abuse and neglect in the care of Jehovah's Witnesses in New Zealand. Okay, I am also going to include that website in the description. But I think that is one of the best recommendations. They should implement a new policy, a new system. Recommendation number one. And then the second recommendation is to make a public apology to everyone that has been subject to abuse under the Jehovah's Witnesses, directly or indirectly. I think that that is the most important thing to do. You take accountability and you acknowledge that these people have been abused. How many years has it been of maybe not even being believed? It can be a lot of different things, but if the organization as a whole, from the governing body, the very top of the leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses, if they take accountability by acknowledging the abuse and apologizing for it, that is so powerful. That is very, very powerful, because despite everything that we have against the Jehovah's Witnesses, all of the things that we know are wrong, everything that we talk about on all of our channels, if they just came out and said sorry, that would mean so much more to us. And then we can abolish you. And then we can abolish the Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? Those are the few points that I wanted to bring out about the New Zealand abuse case inquiry of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I want to thank you for watching this video. Please do your research. Please look up these things. Please share these websites with your friends and family. And it is our job to share this information with them. This is not considered apostasy. You don't even have to share this YouTube video. It doesn't have to be from a specific YouTuber or ex-Jehovah's Witness YouTuber, because they might feel afraid to watch this type of content. But share the links, share the websites, because this is from the country themselves. This is from the inquiry themselves. This is not apostate lies. All right, well, I'm going to leave it there, and I want to thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.